All right, good news, new episode. Welcome back, friends. Thanks so much for watching the pod. Had some great episodes lately, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, we are chilling out in Florida this morning at a pastor's conference, and really felt like it'd be cool before the day gets started and we, run around, do a bunch of things. Thought it'd be cool if we sat out by the beach, talked a little bit about Sabbath.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for you and I, we've been doing Sabbath almost a year now.
Yes, sir.
And what's been like your favorite thing about it? Yeah, people forget sometimes Sabbath isn't like a reward for, good work. It's a part of God's design and rhythm of humanity.
Yeah.
And because he took 6 days and then rested on the seventh, I think if we're made in his image, we're not resting because we're done, and we're tired. We're resting because it's a part of our design.
Yeah, it is. And I think we rest because some people have so many people that feel that that burnout spirit from serving in their church or whatever it is that they're doing in their workplace or whatever. It's like the way that God designed for us to avoid burnout is by interacting with Sabbath and partaking in Sabbath. And so I feel like a lot of us being able to last in the context we're in
It's been
has a lot
because
to
of
do
that.
with because we're living the way that God designed, which is having Sabbath.
And I was thinking this the other day, Robert Morris has such a great bit on this where he talks about the 10 Commandments. And he goes, let me ask you a question. Do you murder? And you're like, no, of course not. Have you stolen anything lately? You're like, no, definitely not. Do you take the Lord's name in vain? You're like, no, definitely not. And then he goes, have you rested one day a week? And it's like, we can't answer that question.
Yeah.
It's so cool that we're out at the beach because I was doing my devotions the other day. I was reading in Mark chapter 3 when Jesus is with a crowd of people and the crowd starts to push up against him so much that he retreats to the shore.
Yes.
And I've always seen the shore as that divider from one area to another. Out on the sea, it's different than out on the land. And coming to the shore has always reminded me of rest. Like Jesus gets on the shore, he would teach from the shore, he recruited disciples on the shore. There was always these big moments on the shore. But particularly in Mark 3, he tells his disciples, hey, this crowd is going to get so big. Can you guys get a boat ready and put it in the ocean behind me?
Yeah, it says that he thought that he was going to be crushed by the people.
Yes, and I think the people represent a big part of life. Like if you're not careful, life will crush you. And I've always appreciated like how important having friends that know your rest rhythm is. My rest rhythm. You always aid me in my rest rhythm. What would you tell somebody that's maybe struggling to find rest and actually take a day off and actually commune with God?
Well, I think people find it wasteful, and because there are some people that I tell we don't do anything for a whole day, which doesn't mean it's off limits, but I think God delights in your rest. So if you're looking to work to get his attention, rest will get his attention. Your ability to acknowledge that life will continue without you is the greatest reverence to God. I feel like in my crazy rhythm of life, the way that I submit to him most, the way that I honor him most is by saying, even if I don't engage, you are the one who makes things move. So being able to rest is saying, God is the one who does it. I'm just a little tiny piece in the whole thing.
Yeah, I read this guy by Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. He says Sabbath is not a day where we stop making things. It's a day where we stop making things of ourselves.
Oof.
And
Jeez.
It's not just a day where you stop in your normal productivity, but you stop in the way you think about productivity. We're big in America on grind culture and hustle, 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 and then give your kids something later on in life. But if you're not lasting, there will be no later on in life.
Well, I think too, we plan so much for the later on in lives that we are not present in the right nows of life.
Yeah, that's great.
I have seen time and time again where parents try to set up their future, but it comes at the expense of ruining their child's present. They don't know you. You're not available. You're not constant. You're not loving. You're not attentive. There's the phone call is always more important. The job is always more important. The next $100,000 is more important. And there's nothing like cherishing today with your child, like cherishing right now with your relationship with God, cherishing your spouse right now, because like you said, what if we get there to the later ons in life and you don't even have them rolling with you anymore because you burnt out, you exhausted yourself, you exhausted everything you had.
Being apparent, like in the teachings of Jesus, endurance, longevity is the goal, not quick spurts of growth. You know, we both led in our home church marketing and branding and social media and all that. And it's so easy to get attracted to the quickness of our culture and how you got to get something out and how quickly it needs to take off and what are we wasting our time doing. I think when it comes to your values and foundations as a human, those take time. And it takes years to develop things. Like we're with friends that we've known for years, and I'm experiencing connections this trip that I didn't experience last year because we've grown, you know. So I love Sabbath. What's our Sabbath look like?
So it's on Mondays. Yeah, we used to have it on Fridays.
Fridays was cool because when you rest, at least if you're in ministry, on working on a Sunday, like serving in the house of God every week, Fridays are cool because you go in refreshed. Mondays, I like them better now because you get a chance to relax
after your week, yeah. And again, like you said, it's not a reward that you put in all this work, but it is nice. Like God knew you were going to get your Sabbath at the end of your work week or at the start of your work week. Like he knew it was going to come. So
grace actually that God gives that allows us to last, knowing we have Sabbath coming.
So it's a Monday morning. We normally start actually preparations for Sabbath Sunday night. So we will tidy and clean our house normally on Sunday night. And it's so nice because then you go into Sabbath like not being overwhelmed. I know that the weeks that we haven't cleaned and prepared for Sabbath, Monday morning I'm like itching to like deep clean the whole house. So in a way of like combating that, I kind of do it Sunday night. And then we sleep in as late as we'd like. Get up whenever you want. Atlas, get up whenever you want. Us, get up whenever you want. And we try to leave our phone in our bedroom for a few hours in the morning, get up, do our normal flow of the like, you know, getting out of bed and stuff. Usually it's like worship music on in the house downstairs somewhere as we make breakfast. So we don't really get a sit-down breakfast during the week ever in our house. It's very much like granola bars, yogurt, rice cakes, peanut butter, strawberries, like quick go, hard-boiled eggs, all that stuff like that. On this day, it's like house-made potatoes, bacon, over medium eggs, pancakes. Like we'll do the full spread, and then we will go from that to we leave the mess. We leave the mess all day. And then it's like, what are we going to watch? What are we going to do? We decide the day of Sabbath what we're going to do that day.
Rules. So Sabbath can't just be another thing in your schedule where it's like you have things planned on it. One of the principles we follow is on that day we make decisions. Yeah. And usually they have to revolve around two trains of thought. Is it worship or is it rest? You know, and family obviously triggers rest for us. You know, you need people that have access to you even on Sabbath. Obviously my wife and daughter, it's not like I'm like, it's Sabbath, leave me alone, you know, or it's not like it's Sabbath, we're not going to engage in our marriage still. Like we're still interacting with each other. But we make it very clear, it has to be worship, it has to be rest. And that's the filter we run it through.
Refreshing.
Yeah, and you know, the book of Acts says times of refreshing come from the presence of the Lord. And so when we Sabbath, usually as a family, we come together and pray at the beginning of it. You know, we say, Lord, we welcome the Sabbath, we welcome you. When I was in Portland at Practicing the Way, they gave us a little Sabbath booklet. Shout out John Mark Comer. They gave us a little booklet that actually has devotionals and prayers and ways to welcome Sabbath each week. So our daughter knows it. She's 2.5. Yep. The night before, she's like, Sabbath day, Sabbath day.
She knows what's coming.
Yeah, I just know, especially as God grows you as a Christian and he starts to grow your faith, you know, you start understanding what your calling is, you have to last. And for us, man, sometimes it's just those little pockets of time refresh us.
Yeah, because if you last, that means more salvations, that means more transformations, that means more hands and feet of Jesus. So it's like, you got to ask yourself sometimes, what's the end goal For us, the end goal is doing ministry for 50 to 60 years of our life.
Yeah, and being better at the end of our lives. I remember Pastor Judah Smith, Rich Wilkerson Jr., they had a whole thing, years ago, better at 70. And the idea was we will be better people when we're 70 years old than we are now. And I think that's rare in our world. Everyone wants to be better today. And it's like, yeah, sure.
We'll figure it out when we get there, but it's like, man, that doesn't set up a recipe for any sort of success. Yeah.
And I want Sabbath to be something my daughter understands is so much more deeper than a day off. When we were living in West Hollywood, there's a big Orthodox community out there, Orthodox Jewish community, and their Sabbath Saturdays. Shabbat starts Friday nights, though. They prep, eat real good Fridays, and you would see the markets just full of people on Fridays getting ready for Shabbat. And I love that we have our own prep. We do things in preparation for Sabbath. My encouragement to you, if you're listening to this, is don't just haphazardly make Sabbath happen. You have to think about it. You have to sacrifice for it.
Yeah. That was another thing I was going to say. Yeah. Like, you will make time for what matters to you. And so if what matters to God matters to you, you will make time for the things of God.
So good. Wow.
It's so true. It's like, I have time to A, B, or C, run on the store, jump on social media, this, that. If I want to do things that are pleasing to the Lord, I will make time for them.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a great sacrifice. I even go back to, Matthew chapter 4. Jesus is on the shore, and he sees these fishermen, and they're fishing. Down here, we've seen fishermen all day. Down this way, there's fishermen. There's a guy walking right behind me now. But Jesus says, follow me, make you fishers of men. And they have to give up what they're doing to engage with that promise.
And even further, he asks them to give up on one of their most successful days. When the nets are the fullest, when the world is providing for you the most, when your job is causing you to make more money, when the next promotion is right around the corner, rest is something that seems disposable. But even on your most successful days, are you willing to slow down enough to engage in the rest that he has promised for you? Like, the disciples had the biggest catch. That'd be like the greatest day in the stock market. On a day where your hair, for me, I'm a hairdresser, and my post of hair goes viral and people are messaging me. If that happens to be on Sabbath, will I resist the urge to provide for myself, to satisfy my own soul, and let him do it instead? Sorry, I don't know if I moved up too much.
Oh, you're doing great. You still have a little light on your thing?
Yeah.
Good. Because that's the only thing, is one of these is going to die. So...
Like
yeah, I love what you said, babe, because you're right. We get too caught up in, once we experience success, we sacrifice rest for the sake of success. Let me understand this. We have instant success and we sacrifice long-term rest. It's a wrap contract. Just so that, we feel good about ourselves. Like, Sabbath is the one day I don't feel the need to be anything but God's
son.
Yeah, and of course we're always God's son, but I'm also people's pastor. There's also
you're also a boss and a mom and a dad and a friend.
All those titles and hats you wear. Sabbath is that day to be humbled and reminded you're a kid. And you're in the presence of your Father, and He's not mad. Some people tell me they get guilty about Sabbath because they think they should just be praying all day, reading your Bible,
or they didn't work hard enough for it.
That's good. Yeah, but some people think they should be in the presence of God all day, praying tongues all day, just blah, blah, And maybe if that's what He calls you to, great. If that's a week for you, I have days where I read a lot more than I do other Sabbaths. But the whole point is, it's guilt-free. It's not just I feel bad because I'm resting. It's no. If people need me, they'll come find me. Yeah. We turn our phones off usually about half the day. Up until noon, I'm usually good without it. But I've had people come to the house because there's emergencies. Sabbath prepares you for the things life throws at you. It's not an escape from real life. It is an intentional withdrawal to get sent back into real life with a different perspective.
It's intended for isolation with God, not loneliness, not distraction, like you said. I think too, when it comes to the topic of even success and our maintaining the rotation of our lives, the gravity of the pool of everything rotating. If you had to obtain it yourself, you have to sustain it yourself. If God obtain your success for you, He will sustain your success for you. He will sustain your family for you one day a week. I got this thought from the Tale of Three Kings, where David didn't have to obtain the throne, so he didn't do anything to sustain the throne. If God intended for him to be away from it, he bowed to the will of God. Same thing with rest. I think it applies in every area of our life. If God is the one who opens the door for it, he will keep it open. And when he shuts it, get out. Like, you know? But he doesn't have an intention on shutting the door of rest. So just keep resting.
No, his desire, you know, and everyone's like, oh, that's Old Testament. It's in the Ten Commandments, y'all.
That never expires, brother. Sorry.
No, is it super legalistic? No, Jesus healed on the Sabbath. He ate, he did things on the Sabbath, but it is a principle for human flourishing. And you know, I'm good. I wanted to get out and get a little mini episode in with you. Yeah, just talking a little bit about rest. We've had a great week, huh? What'd you say? We've had a great week. You know, out here with some friends and family. We were at a conference this week, and it's incredible because while we're receiving and, you know, being built up and having our faith stirred, we're also resting. And so it can be done, you know. I know sometimes people are like, oh, I'm going to do a work vacation. They go on vacation, they just work. It's like, hey, I believe you got to work, sure, but like you can have these times where you actually rest.
Pockets, yeah. And I think, yeah, I think the last advice I have for somebody is, if you don't have it available in your life to take a full 24 hours off, it's okay. Don't feel guilty for watching me look, I can't do it even if I tried. It's like, take windows. Take a Friday night, you know, after work. From this time to this time, I'm not doing anything. Then extend it. Then open that. And really ask the Holy Spirit, God, make room and make it clear for where the places and spaces I should be resting. And he will. We really started to ask God. We were in a rhythm of Fridays, but it was hard because I started working, and there were days I would have Fridays and work and weddings and stuff. And you were like, well, let's just ask God what we're supposed to do. And he opened up Mondays for us, and it was so clear, and we just leaned into that. Yeah. So take the little windows you have. Put your phone away for 2 hours. Delete social media apps for a day. Like, there are small ways that God will meet you in your sacrifices to rest.
So good. Yeah, we love you. Thanks for watching Good News Pod. Please subscribe. Please drop some comments what you think about this video. We're hosting it now over here on our channel. And yeah, last episode with Joseph was so good. We got a great talk coming up next week with Zach and Rachel Stevens. They are pastors in Knoxville, Tennessee. Just good friends, good family, good parents, good people.
They're incredible.
Yeah, so we hope you get to check that episode. But until next time, fam, did you feel rain?
I feel the rain.
Just in time, y'all. We love you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.